You know, you wouldn't be here if you didn't want to improve yourself, if you didn't want to get something from this webinar. Even if you just get one thing from this thing, that's all it's for. You know, hopefully you'll get multiple, but even if you get one thing, at least you've learned one thing, and you can go and implement it into your business. You can take action, you can move forward. So in the past 3 months, I've taken over 200 grand's worth of bookings, and I haven't spoken to a single guest. Sound good? Yes. Well, yes. Unbelievable. Yes. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's these are figures that I never, ever, ever even imagined when I went to IKEA that first time to buy all my furniture for my first SA unit. I you know, did all the setup myself, as you probably do, and you know, never in my dreams did I imagine this, but when I figured it out, I realized there was huge profit opportunity in it, and I doubled down on it. I wanted to get know more about it, and I dug into it, and then I started pushing it, and that's where we are. And as I mentioned earlier, I want to hit 1 million next year. That's my goal. I really think probably could have done it this year had it not been COVID, but that's had a few effects. But I really do think I can push it next year, and by hopefully the middle of next year, worst case scenario, end of next year, tick that box and have that £1 million in gross revenue for 2021. So fingers crossed. But you know, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, it all started just like me, just, you know, with an idea, with taking action. So just do it. You know, I couldn't get a property rented, and I thought, sod it, I'm going to go to IKEA and furnish this, take a few photos and put an Airbnb and see what happens. And here we are here today with, you know, in the past 3 months, taking 200 grand's worth of bookings. So let's have a look. Right, my results are not typical. I just want to put this out there. You know, I'm going to show you what's worked for me and continues to work for me. However, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you're here for a get-rich-quick scheme, probably just log off now, because there's hard work involved in this. Now, hard work doesn't necessarily mean loads of hours and, you know, and taking over your life sort of work. If you keep focused and you know what you're doing, you can, you know, implement stuff in a very short space of time and get a lot done. But that consistently over a number of days creates, and a number of months creates results. And that's what this is all about. And this is how I have grown. And this is how I continue to grow, because I continue to do those same actions every single day. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. So as I said, if that's you, if you're looking for that, if you want the easy way, just log off now. I won't be offended. I hope you're not offended with me saying that. But it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. So 3 secrets. Let's dive into these. Secret number 1, control property, don't own it. Secret number 2, add value, solve problems, and don't pitch. And secret number 3, build relationships and work with experienced investors. So with regards to the control and property, this for me was an absolute game changer. I discovered rent to SA, rent to rent, whatever you want to call it, by accident. So I had my first property set up. I then set another couple up, and I noticed the contractor kept booking. So me being me, I decided to give the head office a ring, and I got through to a lady, which happened to be the PA of the owner of the company. And I just said, you know, you've got some guys staying with us, and I've noticed you keep booking through the same booking channel. So I just want to reach out and see if I can do something direct. And she was like, oh, well, I sort the rooms out and I book in this, that, and the other. So she said, well, we're actually on a project for another 6 months, and I actually need another 8 rooms. So have you got anything? And me being me, I didn't, but I knew the numbers. I knew what that was to me in terms of revenue. So I was like, yeah, no problem at all. I can do that for you, you know. And when do you want the for, blah, blah, blah. So she was like, I need in 2 weeks time, and then we'll take from the 6 months, and the 3 that you got on the go already, you know, we'll secure them up as well. So obviously pound signs going off in my head. I was just like, I've got to figure this out. So I thought to myself, can I turn any more of my single lets into SAs? And at the time, I had good tenants in there. I didn't think it was fair to just kick tenants out. Plus, by serving them notice, I probably wouldn't be able to get them out in time, or it would have cost me a lot of money. So I just was scratching my head on what to do. And I just thought to myself, I wonder if I could rent some properties off some friends. So I texted a few of my friends, asked them if they had anything, but they didn't. But then I just thought, you know, sod it. And I went on Gumtree, I went on Facebook, and I went on Rightmove, and I just started ringing people, you know, and just, hi, can I come view your property? I need to rent it. I need it quick, and I need it for quite some time, you know. And then I just went out there and I went on the viewings, and when I got there, I just explained what I was doing, explained what I needed them for, and a few of them obviously kicked back. Can't do that, at least won't permit it, you know, this, that and the other, which is fair enough. You know, I don't want to get anyone in trouble, I don't want anyone getting the mortgages revoked, all that sort of stuff. But then there was a lot of them who were open to it, you know, like, yeah, that sounds great, you know, if you're gonna, you know, furnish my property and make it look nice and look after it and take over it and no hassle and all that sort of good stuff that we offer. And I picked up 5 properties in 10 days. So 5 properties, I went from being like up shit creek to, okay, I've now got 5 properties in 10 days, probably more than I needed, but at the same time, I knew this strategy worked by this point. So I was hell-bent on getting as many as I possibly could. So obviously I fulfilled that contract, put a lot of cash flow into the business, and there it was, just, you know, it just kicked on, and I, you know, and it really helped. Now, when I say don't own property, obviously that is, it's more of a jest than anything. I'm kind of trying to get you to focus on controlling property first, especially if you want to get some quick cash flow. So there'll be quite a few of you on the webinar here. In fact, let's just in the chat, just let me know whether you have capital to invest, or whether you have, you know, less than 5 grand to get started. And let's just see the numbers here. Just type in sub 5k, more than 5k. Sub, more, sub. Probably 60-40 split, maybe a bit more, 70-30. So, okay, but anyway, it doesn't matter whether you got money or not got money, right? At the end of the day, you should control property for cash flow and then own it, okay? So I used at the beginning here, so I pumped everything back into my business, by the way. You know, and this is another thing that you got to do. You just got to pump it all back into your business for as long as you possibly can. You know, you got to cut down on your expenses, and you got to go at it, and you got to pump it back in. So my profit from all my rentals went into buying more, and it was circulating. So more profit, deposit, buy. More profit, deposit, buy. And that's kind of how I did it. And that's how I built my net wealth, which is, you know, how I own properties, you know, and, you know, obviously I execute the buy, refurbish, refinance strategy, which is a separate webinar altogether, separate strategy altogether. But that is a great strategy for owning property and recycling money over and over again to build your asset base. So I have obviously a large asset portfolio, but it was controlling property that really doubled the numbers, trebled the numbers, quadrupled the numbers, and so on. And obviously then instantly gave me more and more cash flow, because you can only get so much money out of a property. So if you're gonna say buy 4 properties a year, well, you're only gonna get anywhere from 300 to probably £1,000, depending on the strategy you run the property on, per property. So let's even say as a maximum, you're gonna get 4 SAs that do you £1,000 a month net. Well, and you're going to buy them, and so you're going to get 4, and that's £4,000 a month, which is great, over the course of a year. Or you could do that as well, but also you could add in 5 control properties a month. So, you know, you end up with another 60 properties, and they might only make 300 or 400 quid a month, sometimes 600-700 quid. If you get some bigger ones, every now and then you get some large bookings, and it balances out and kicks it into 4-figure mark. But let's just say, you know, you're only making 400 quid a month from each one, but you're setting up 5 a month. You know, there's an extra £2,000 a month, you know, on top of the £4,000 that you're going to bring in by the end of the year, you know, and that builds and scales. Then you can imagine you keep pumping that in. You know, your acquisitions go from 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32. It all just builds and scales, but you've got to start. All right, you've got to start somewhere. And for me, if you're at the bottom, or you're struggling a bit, or you're going at a slow pace, switch the control property brain on. Go out there, execute the rent to SA strategy, find your properties, double your stock, treble your stock, quadruple your stock, and be constantly focusing on it, and your net cash flow takes care of itself. You know, if you do it properly, your net cash flow takes care of itself, and it builds and it builds and it builds. And before you know it, you've got a sizable portfolio, you've got a lot of money coming in every day, and your problems don't become money anymore. Your problems become how to spend your money, and I don't mean that by wasting it. I mean in terms of how to find more properties to buy, or how to run your operation because it's got so big, you know. So you have different problems, but they're good problems to have. So controlling property for me was when it switched, when things really started to take some momentum, and it all started from a bit of investigation to try and get a direct booking, you know, and that's how my rent to SA journey started, and that's really when the service accommodation portfolio kicked on from there. So secret number 2, add value, solve problems, and don't pitch. Just drop in the chat here, how many of you already do rent to SA with landlords? And just let me see your hands. Yeah. Okay, so mixed bag. Some worth working with, trying to work with, about to close my first deal. Okay, so there's a few. So obviously a few are on board already with kind of the rent to SA side of things. For me, it's you got to work with people. You know, I went to one of my ads. I got a phone call and it was from a guy, and he's like, I've got a property, I'm looking to get it managed. I said, I don't manage properties, you know, I've got no interest in managing a single let property for 10% a month of 500 quid and getting 50 quid, you know, that's not going to tick my boxes. So I was like, I don't manage properties, but, you know, what do you do? And just, you know, what's your problem you're trying to solve? And he said, well, I've got a few properties, and I'm just looking to get this one managed because I'm having a bit of hassle with it, and you know, I'm just sick of it, and I want to go away in a few years, and blah blah blah. So I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, I'll meet you. I said, I don't manage properties, but I'll meet you. I'll see if I can solve your problem. I do have an idea, and obviously my idea was I could use the property for rent to SA. So I asked him where the property was, and it was in a good location around Newcastle. So I went down, met him in a pub, we had a chat, and lo and behold, he has 22 properties. You know, he didn't just have a couple of properties. This bloke had 22 properties, all in great SA locations. And so I started to talk to him, and I said, well, this is actually what I do. And his ears obviously pricked up. Went and had a look at the properties that weren't in the best condition, some of them not in the best areas. But you know, we did a joint venture, and we continue to work together today, and we continue to manage his property. His dream is to move abroad, and he wants obviously all of these properties taken care of. So we're slowly but surely working them out of single let strategy into SA strategy, and you know, as the tenants come out, but it's all about balancing his cash flow as well, you know, because we don't just want to chuck it all out straight away. So it's working with it and the trust and everything like that. But you want to, when you do a good thing for a landlord, the multiplier effect coming. He had 22 properties, but of course he's never going to give me all 22 on day one. Yeah, there you go, no problem. I don't know who you are. I've met you for 5 minutes in a pub. You know, that's not going to fly. You know, you've got to add value and solve problems. So, you know, I was adding value by, you know, solving this problem. So I'm going to refurb his properties, and I'm going to take his hassle away. They was his problem. His problem is his hassle, and also he wants to move away. He wants to. He's not from the UK, although, you know, he lives here. He's built a very nice portfolio in the UK, but he wants to go back home. So, you know, that's his problem, is hassle and going back home. So I've solved this problem by giving him an option, and we are working together. So we tried one, worked, tried another one, worked, got another one, you know, and then, you know, now and then he's actually bought a couple lately with the intention of just giving them straight to me to then, you know, use a service accommodation and set them up. So, you know, it's all about adding value. Not once did I go and pitch him, ram my service down his throat, you know, tell him how great I am, what success I'm having. And I see this time and time again, especially online, you know. If anyone's got any portfolios they want to hit me up. Haven't even got a profile picture. No one knows who you are. You know, it's like, what value are you adding to their life? Why is a landlord going to go, oh yeah, I'm going to go with that guy? Like, no one knows who he is. He's got nothing on his feed to show anything, you know? So it's all about adding value and solving problems. The more you pitch, the less you get, I find. You know, I think you just got to put yourself out there, add your value, and if people want to work with you, they'll come to you. So I think you should be delivering, like, marketing stats sort of say about 80% worth of just content out there, just get it out there, and you'll get results off that. And then 20% picture. Obviously, I do, a picture every now and then, but I provide a lot of value. I put a lot of value out there, and whether that's on sort of the educational side, the coaching side, or whether it's on the services that we offer. But my on the services, we write posts all the time, we send emails all the time to our databases, with just top tips on how to avoid booking fees, top tips on getting the best rates, how to search the channels to make sure you're getting the right property, how to analyze reviews, all these type of things are just stuff that we're just emailing out to our database. And from that, we then get, oh, yeah, I'd like to make another booking with you. Or can we book with you? Oh, I know somebody who needs a booking, So it just add value, solve problems, and don't pitch. That is a fundamental for me, and I think if you do it right, you'll absolutely nail it, and your pipeline will blow up. So secret number 3, it's a business. You have to market and you have to prospect it. Okay, so I just touched base on the secret number 2, but one Facebook ad, which was free because I just put it on Marketplace, led to this landlord portfolio of 22 properties. So I see it time and time again where people just put it out, like they just set their properties up, or they create a nice website and they're like, yeah, I'm in property now, and that's it. And then they're like, wonder why nothing's happening. Oh, I'm not getting any leads through my website. Do you know in the chat, let me know how many leads you think I get through my website. I've got an all singing, all dancing website. It has all of our products on. It's got everything about me and the company and where we operate and the size, and it sings our praises. It's a great show home. How many leads per month do you think I get through my website? Let me know in the chat. 100, 0, 5, 80. I would say, depending, if we've got paid ads on, we'll get a few more, but let's just say generic ad, you're probably talking 2 a month, if that. I'm out there, SEO metadata is good, backlinks are in, all that sort of stuff that everyone teaches you to do, it's all done. But you cannot just build a website and then expect people to just come through, That's just not how you run your business. It doesn't work. There's quicker and cheaper ways to do it. Yes, you need a website, but I use a website for a different purpose. Website for me is about building trust. So, when these landlords I want to work with want to investigate me further behind the scenes, they'll go on my website. They'll check my Facebook profile out. They'll check my Instagram and LinkedIn out and all that sort of stuff. They'll see that I am a property professional. They'll see I know what I'm doing. They'll see I know what I'm talking about, and therefore the trust is built. That's what I use a website for. I do not use a website for marketing purposes, unless I create a separate funnel that we're going to drive paid ads to, and that might serve a purpose as a landing page. But you don't need a website to do that. You can just use things like lead pages or ClickFunnels or various other just lead magnets. But that's a different story altogether. You've got to market your service accommodation business, all right? You've got to market on the front end to get acquisitions, and you've got to market on the back end to get guests. It's as simple as that. If you think that you can just go into service accommodation and you're going to create a website, you're going to get loads of landlords coming at you, you're going to be sadly wrong, And in all honesty, this comes down to the prospecting side of things as well. You've got to prospect. You've got to be making a certain number of calls a day. You've got to be sending a certain number of messages a day. You've got to keep your pipeline full of potential acquisitions. You've got to, be building these relationships that are so important to getting you over the line. You've got to be asking for referrals. It's in business. If you went and said to, spoke to any business, entrepreneur, billionaire, millionaire, they'll tell you that it's all about keeping your sales pipeline full. Our sales pipeline is acquisitions. That's where it all starts. You ain't got a property, you can't make any money from it. So you've got to get property. Property's got to be the number one goal. And in my business, my core business, my slogan, logo, whatever you want to call it, is basically acquiring property for cash flow. That is the number one priority of my business, acquiring property for cash flow. I am responsible for that, and all the other tasks in the business must not affect me acquiring property for cash flow. So if somebody wants to come to me with a maintenance issue, it better be a bloody big one, because if it takes me away from acquiring property for cash flow, I'm not going to be happy. But I have good layers in my business, so that things like a maintenance issue would only reach me if it was over a certain value. That I have certain people within the team that are allowed to authorize certain limits, and that protects me from getting dragged into operational stuff, and therefore I can acquire property for cash flow all the time. That's all I'm focused on: acquiring property for cash flow, acquiring property for cash flow. And the more I do that, the more the pipeline's full, the more money that comes in at the bottom end, because I've perfected, I wouldn't say perfected, I've got the confidence that the way I buy, the way I acquire, the way I analyze, the way I know the market, and I'm experienced in the locations of analyzing, things like nightly rates, all that sort of stuff. I'm pretty confident if I take a property on, it's going to be profitable, because I've done all of those other bits to get to where I am, and I can make better decisions than, maybe even at the beginning. But at the beginning, I made some, good decisions as well. At the end of the day, touch wood, I've not had a property that's lost money, and and I think that's a great winning streak to be on. But that shows from day one I've analysed right, I've looked at the data right, and then I've gone after the right properties in the right locations. So, but you've got to be marketing and prospecting your business. If you're not shouting loud and proud about it, if you're not getting out there, if you're not documenting your journey, then you're gonna struggle to penetrate. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of competition out there. If you're operating in the Northeast, you're competing against me. And we're out there. I'm out there, and everyone knows. Not everyone, but I have a name now for serviced accommodation. So I get tagged in Facebook things all the time. The minute anybody asks for a recommendation of either a clean and linen service, so a guest stay, anything to do with serviced accommodation help, I tend to get tagged in many Facebook posts, which is because I've marketed my business as such. I've prospected the business. I'm getting out there. I'm omnipresent, so people know that we are operators in the serviced accommodation industry, and that we do a good job, because we've got the success stories. We've got the proof. But even if you haven't got that, even if you're just at the beginning, you can still create that persona. You can still document your journey. You can still get out there and make tractions. I had to start somewhere. Everybody's got to start somewhere. You don't need masses of experience to get one property on or two properties on. And once you've got one or two, then you've got experience. Then you can showcase your portfolio. You can, I've let landlords who were potentially wanting to work with me just check into some of the properties, and there's the lockbox code. Go on these, they'll be empty on Thursday and Friday next week. Just go and let yourself in. And they'll go and let themselves in. They'll see the condition of the properties versus what their tenants leave them in. Phone call, yeah, okay, let's sign the contracts. Let's get this going. That is the best. I think I've got a 100% close ratio on that strategy. So once you've got one or two, start leveraging it. Start putting yourself out there. I also let them speak to other landlords. You start pulling it all together, and it sort of snowballs. But you've got to get the snowball going at the beginning. So if you are at that stage, just start by getting your business out there. Focus on what you want to do. Set yourself up, and then just keep telling everybody about it. Tell everybody about it. Tell everybody you meet. Tell everybody, all your friends and family. Tell everybody in the pub. If you're allowed to go back to pubs, God knows what's going to happen on that front. So just tell everybody, shout it loud and proud, and get your message out there. And then when you do start getting some traction, and even at the beginning, you've got to prospect your business. So at the minute you get a serviced accommodation unit, you got to start prospecting it. You got to start finding your guests. Don't rely on the channels. Find your guests. Go after them. Where can you find them? Which business can you speak to? Can you be on Facebook in groups? Are the people looking for stays in your area? All that sort of stuff. Prospect, and that's how you maximize your revenue.